Actually, I started this as a hobby, to be honest. It's not business. So very, very automatically, when you love something, like for example, you love a car, you will start going to all the
Online
car forums to read about car first. So I started as a watch lover, as I mentioned to you. Then I went to all sorts of forums and I started reading it. And then I will start doing comparison of the prices of the watches. And then from there, slowly over the years, I get, I mean, it's like,
accumulated knowledge.
It's like you all lah. I mean, you all have to read news every day to get to know what is happening in that particular counter that you all have actually put in money. So it same goes to me. So I have to like, even though when we have free times, I will read a lot of watch related articles and also check the price of the watches itself.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
It's like stocks already.
Yeah.
Before we begin the podcast, have you gotten your free ebook? It's called the Build a Six-Figure Portfolio Guidebook. Now, inside it, we share with you the tips and tricks to bring your stock investing skills to the next level. The best part, it's only 10 pages long and it's totally free. Whether you're on Spotify or YouTube, the link to download is in the description, or you can go to www.firl.co/FREE or www.FIRL.co/free.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the FIRL podcast, best place for long-term stock investing. We're not going to talk about stock investing today, but this one is a very unique episode. I know we say that every time, but this one really
Not just unique episode, unique topic, unique asset class.
Unique
person.
Thank you.
Today we have actually a former work friend, now we have a friend. Dato, the first Dato on this.
Thank you.
Dato Teng Chiwai lah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Second Dato. Welcome to the podcast, Dato Michael.
Sure. Thanks. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, MJ.
So for context, everyone listening, right? Dato is probably the foremost in my life, at least, the foremost expert when it comes to watch collections and watch investing. So we know, even though we are a stock investing channel, we do want to bring alternative investments.
Correct.
Things are a little bit different, but still very informative.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And we can learn everything about watch investing today. So I'm going to start off, right? Actually, Dato, when was the first time you remembered you bought your first watch, and when was it where you realized, wow, I'm excited, I want to be passionate about this?
I've been sharing this quite a lot in the webinars and also in the Age newspaper. So actually the first person who inspired me about watch collection is actually my ex-boss in CIMB Investment Bank.
Right.
So if John, Paul Gui,
Paul,
my ex-boss, he's the
yeah.
one that inspired me about watches. So I started collecting watches when I was like 13 years ago. Okay. So that time when I first started collecting watches, or I fall in love with watches, is because of the aesthetics looks. Nothing related to investment, nothing related to the value of the watch. It's really like everyone, like you and myself. When we love something, we have a love in that thing. Then
100%.
we will just buy it with the amount of or the ability that we can afford.
Correct.
At the point of time. So it's just a pure love for watches at that point of time. Nothing to do with investment. Yeah.
So what was the brand and the make of that first
okay, you'll be
first watch.
Yeah, you'll be quite surprised. Actually, the first watch that I bought is actually from Watch Club itself in Publica. Right?
Okay.
So it's a brand that not many people know. It's a Swiss brand. It's called Baume & Mercier. So it's a
Baume & Mercier.
Yeah, it's a watch where at that point of time my taste was pretty much towards a complicated watch, so which means at least a chronograph watch, where I think that it looks sophisticated when I wear something complicated and sophisticated on my wrist. But my taste has actually changed across time.
So what is a chronograph watch?
Chronograph watch is actually, maybe I can show you here.
Yes.
So this is a...
Just point at the camera.
Yeah. Can you see this? This is a chronograph watch. This is a Rolex Daytona, where you can see the three dots
clocks
there.
In a clock one.
So there's clocks in a clock where usually people use this type of watch for timing, especially for
Races?
racing car. So it's for motorsports. So it's a chronograph, but there are a lot of chronograph or so-called complicated watch in the market right now, which do different type of functions, not only at timing for motor racings anymore.
I see.
Right.
So so then how do you? So is that all you want to say about your very first watch?
Yeah, until now, to be honest, I sold the watch for an Omega.
Okay.
So Omega is the second watch that I bought.
Okay.
Because at the time, I think people who knows me, people who saw me on my Facebook knows that I'm a big fan of Omega because of James Bond. It's just because of James Bond, right?
I see.
So people will be very surprised because majority of the people, their first luxury watch should be a Rolex, but wasn't mine.
I see.
It was by Malaysia and then followed by an Omega.
Okay.
So then slowly when I move on, then I go into Omega. I go into Rolex.
Okay.
But if that time I was a bit naive because I wanted to be a watch collector, meaning that I should have collect every single brand from brand A to brand Z,
okay.
which I have did that.
Okay.
I have collected all the brands, but that actually I actually pay a very heavy tuition fees on those brands.
Why
Because
is that?
not all brands itself, when you buy, when you want to sell, you can make money. So yeah, that actually triggers me and let me go into the rabbit hole a bit more on why some of the watch brands can make money and why some of the watch brands actually lose my pants.
I see.
So that's where watch investments today is all about. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll get to the mistakes later on. I think they're very good to learn. But how do you think it's important if you are someone, right? Like how do I put it? Like what would you say to people who want to do both, or should people stick to one only? Like
one brand, you mean?
Not necessarily brand, like collecting or investing.
Oh,
will you encourage people to try and do both, or it's like a different mindset?
Actually, when you want to touch the word investing, no matter whether it's in stocks or whatever, things become very boring. Because you need to you have to be very disciplined.
Yes.
You need to only stick back to some certain criteria of stocks or so-called watches that you want to put your money in. Correct. So I always tell people that if today you are only a watch lover, it's very, very hard for you to make money from watches because you might like the watch because maybe it is a very famous micro brand, or maybe because of the aesthetics itself, or maybe because certain vibes of the watch, you really like it, then you buy it. But if for watch investment, it has to be like you all, it has to be very, very disciplined in choosing the right stocks for some criteria. So watch investment itself, when it touches money, it becomes very boring. You have to be very disciplined, but definitely you can make money out of it.
I understand.
So I don't think you can actually have both, unless your watch investment has made you tons of money, and then you will have the freedom to go and get the watches that you like.
Understand.
Right.
Yeah,
Understand.
exactly.
Understand.
So what would you say? How about yourself? Right? Are there watches where I think most of your watches, if the price is right, you sell, right?
Yes and no. Because there are some pieces of watches where I know that when I sold, I won't be able to get back. So no matter how expensive it is, until now, I won't sell it. I just won't sell it because I know that once the watch is out from my pocket, it is very hard for me to get it back again in future.
I see.
Yeah,
Because it's so rare.
It's so rare, and it's also maybe there's some meaning behind.
Okay.
There's some so-called story behind the watch. And that's the reason why I didn't. Yeah.
So will you, Raf, like what do you think that percentage is like? Like will you say most of the watches you are not in that category, or you think it's pretty mixed half and half for you?
Majority. Okay, maybe I'm not at the age of retirement yet.
Okay.
I hardly sell my watches unless I sell a piece of my watches is to get another piece of watches.
I see.
But I won't sell one piece of watches and keep the money because it is due to, like, for example, I want to do a switch of portfolio. It's when you want to sell certain stocks.
Correct.
It's because you want to switch the funds from this stocks itself to another stocks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Fantastic.
How much do you think if someone were to start off as an investor, or even how much for a collector and how much for an investor? In a sense that collector, when you buy something and then you find something nicer, you switch your portfolio, how much do you think is the starting? And then as an investor, how much do you think that he or she should use as a starting capital to buy.
What's a good amount to start with?
Yeah, to start with.
What's a good brand to start with as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why maybe I want to talk about the brand first, right?
Okay.
So in the market, I think if you've seen, I've run the various interviews and webinars, right? I think the hierarchy of brands is the minimum, the basic that everybody needs to understand and know first.
Yes.
So the hierarchy of brands, so at the top end brands will be like Richard
Mille,
and
Patek
also
Philippe.
Patek is not the top end. So that people thought that Patek and Rolex are very high end, but they are not. So the most high end is like Jacob and Co. And then Jacob and Co.
Or Jacob and Co.
And then Richard Mille itself.
Okay.
And then the second highest tier, it will be like Patek Philippe, VC's VACHERON Constantine, and then Audemars. And then those are the second tier. And then Rolex itself is only as a luxury at the third tier. Together with Omega and the rest. They are even one tier. Definitely they are one tier below Patek Philippe and Richard Mille is 2 tiers below. They are 2 tiers below Richard Mille. Okay. So the myth I'm going to share with everybody in front of the podcast today is don't have this idea that the more expensive brand that you bought, it will give you a better return.
Understand.
There's no such thing. So which means that, wow, I think that if this watch is ultra high end, is very expensive, I buy at this price, in future, definitely I can sell at a higher price.
Understand.
The answer is no. The answer is no. It won't happen. Yeah, so watch investment, you have to be very selective. So the brand itself is, the hierarchy of the brand itself is not important at all. Even though, limited editions, I've shared with a lot of people, limited editions also doesn't guarantee you profit making.
Well, what's one limited edition watch, right? You would say that has failed to like be a good investment.
A case study of
too many. There are too many.
Maybe just one or two.
Just pick one.
Maybe I don't want to name brands because I've named brands before in the age interview and some brands got very disappointed with
Oh really?
me, so,
Okay, understand.
Seriously, Initial. Cannot let the initial itself. I think people. I just don't want to.
No, okay.
Let me
maybe
that brand in watch only have one started with that initial. Yeah, cannot. It's only one.
Okay,
maybe
maybe
5 or 6 figures.
Maybe
6 figures.
If you can't disclose the reason why, you can't disclose the brand. Maybe you disclose the reason why, even at limited edition. What were the criteria that made you lost money, or why was it a failed project? What were the criteria?
You see, for watches, it doesn't mean that it is a limited edition, definitely make money.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it is not a limited edition, it also makes money. So if you ask me, from the angle of investment, for myself and also watch investment and our watch club, we only look into 4 brands that we would think that they are on investment grade. Okay. So these 4 brands I can name it out because good things.
Yeah,
the
good
brands,
things you can name.
The brands like it right? So it's actually Richard Mille, Patek Philippe, and then AP and Rolex.
Okay.
Right? These are the 4 brands that usually we would like to hold and we would like to trade them. But I think coming into 2022 this year, I think maybe if you want to be a bit more stable, it's like blue chips.
Okay.
I think you should only maybe look at Patek Philippe and also Rolex. So we actually go even deeper only to these 2 brands.
Understand. So the guys like VACHERON, Constantine, and even Jaeger, right? Why are they not part of this investment grade? Is it because the market's too small? It's so niche that only certain watch collectors play with them, or even Hublot. They got famous for not good reasons, because it's like why is that not in that category?
You see like Hublot is one of the company that they like to have a lot of limited editions. So VACHERON is usually, we call it in the watch collecting journey, we call it the Holy Trinity, which is Patek Philippe, AP, and then VACHERON. Right? So these are the 3 big brands that usually we call it the Holy Trinity.
I see.
Okay, there's a very solid reason, because you look at the brands that, as I mentioned to you just now, Patek Philippe and Rolex. These are the 2 brands where they are actually family owned. The rest of the brands, they are actually owned by conglomerates. They are owned by LVMH. They are owned by Swatch Group and whatever, right? So once today you are owned by all these big companies, right? If you ask me, this profit thing is always hanging on their neck.
I see.
So today, if you are this brand, if you're under this company, you are being pressured to perform. You are being pressured to deliver profits. And then the easiest way to deliver profits is usually introduction of new models, or you give a very huge discount on your existing models.
Understand.
But whereas Rolex and Patek Philippe until today is actually run by family.
I see.
So they are family run so-called watch brands, whereas Rolex is actually run by the family's trust itself. But Patek Philippe is still run by the family itself. So they actually focus very much on what does the market wants, what does their supporters, the collectors want, and they don't really care about, not to say don't really care, they don't compromise the quality of the product against the demand from the market. So like, for example, I think every one of you in front of podcast will know that if today you want to walk into a Rolex boutique in anywhere of the world, I mean, you are free, MJ and John, just go to Mid Valley Gardens or just go to KLCC and Pavilion, go in with a stack of cash and say, just give me a Daytona or just give me a Pepsi. No, they are totally out of stocks. And then your waiting list is easily about 5 to 6 years now. And it's really, really crazy. So if you are the boss of Rolex, if you are really driven by profit, the easiest way is to increase the production, right? Because the demand is so high, I just need to increase my supply, then my profit itself will go up easily. But if they don't do that, it's because they put quality first on the product. And they know that the reason why they can be there for so many decades, all these watch brands that we're talking today are above 100 years. They can survive 100 years is because the quality that they have. And I always joke with people, the day I die, my watch will still be moving. This is confirmed one. Right? It's that good. So quality itself is something where you cannot compromise if you are at that level. Right. So that is the reason why, if you ask me, those are the brands that are very good for investment, and why they don't come up with so-called limited editions or increase the production to meet the
They just have a steady pace of increase only lah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
So, but the amount, Dato,
Yeah.
what do you think it's for if you want to start a watch investment journey or a collector's journey? Is there
Let's say
a
among these four that you like.
If for example, these four,
These four,
very
wow.
tough, man. This
Six
is very-
figure, man.
Yeah, but if you're talking about like young people, I mean, like, if for collectors, actually, you do not need to set any budget, because collectors, you just collect any watches that you like. Right. I mean, I'm given it a quartz watch, which is a battery watch, or the mechanical watch. But again, if you are in for investment, then those are the four brands that I mentioned. And then forget about battery watches, just focus only on mechanical, which is mechanical watches itself. It will give you the best returns.
So roughly 50, 60K?
No, I think
100K?
with recent Rolex price hike crazily, you should start with a minimum of 80,000. And then to kickstart one watch is 80,000 nowadays.
Wow.
I mean, if you interview me like 2 years ago, I can still tell you to start with a minimum of maybe like 40 plus 50K.
Standard. Man.
Yes, double the last 2 years.
So now let's say you say that these brands are what you should be looking at.
Yep.
Then within the brands, right? How do you choose a watch?
Within the brand, how does
invest?
it? Okay, first of all, like for example, under Rolex.
Yes.
Let's talk about Rolex. I think everybody loves Rolex.
Yes, correct. 100%.
Your father, your grandfather love Rolex. Your mother love Rolex.
Correct.
Your
Everyone
girlfriend will love Rolex one day. You yourself will love Rolex one
Yeah.
day, right? So let's talk about Rolex. So under Rolex, there are so many brands. So usually we have a sports model. Then we have a dress model. So dress model is the watches that we watch on television, all the Hong Kong movies, all the Patek wear, the half gold Rolex, the
Rose gold.
rose gold, half gold, or whatever lah. Those are the Patek wears one. So those are so-called the date just, which is the dress model. Then the sports models is something like everyone of us will know that it's like a Submariner, so-called GMTs, and then Daytonas and go on. So under Rolex itself, usually we will tell people that if you can afford to start with, just start with Rolex sports model, stainless steel material. Yeah, stainless steel. Not solid
Not
gold, not half gold, not whatever, white gold or platinum. Start with stainless steel. There is a reason. I know now you're looking at your eyes, you must ask me that why stainless steel,
of
right?
course,
Because people always think that if you want to buy something, you must buy something like gold preserve values, this and that. Okay, because watches are mainly for people to wear as a tool,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
So stainless steel actually has a very strong resistance compared to gold. Gold is a bit soft and it's a bit more heavy. So if you wear every day, itself is tough.
You
right?
get dings here, dings there.
Things there, and then scratches and everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you know that then there's a watch here which is made of this titanium. Titanium is even so-called lighter, but titanium will not give you the shining or bling bling look of it. So Rolex itself, if you want to start with a sports model. Sports models are like Daytona, the Submariner, the GMTs, and then maybe the Sea Dweller, and then maybe those are the names that you can keep on continuing to say. And then under GMT itself, you will have the Pepsi, and then you will have the Batman, and then you will have
Maybe you have to explain what is a
Show us what a Pepsi.
maybe I can show you what is a Pepsi. So this is a 16750 Rolex Pepsi. The reason why it's called Pepsi is because you can see the blue color and red color on the bezel itself. This is the color. When you drink a Pepsi, you can see a blue. This becomes a Pepsi. This is one of the most iconic piece of Rolex watches itself in the market. Yeah. So when people call it as a Pepsi, this is what they're referring to. And then this is actually a Daytona. This is actually Daytona, which I mentioned to you. I showed that just now, which have the clock inside the clock itself, right?
Yeah.
So this is the chronograph, the one and only chronograph models that Rolex has itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, my answer to you is start with 80,000, start with sports models, start with stainless steels if you are looking at Rolex.
Okay. Wow. And within the, you mentioned Batman, Pepsi. What other names have Rolex creatively?
Oh, crazy, man! Rolex, like for example, you have a Panda, then you have a reverse Panda, then you have a Pepsi, you have a root beer, and then you have a Coke, then you have a Hulk, and then you have a Batman, you have a Batgirl. Wow, yeah, that's quite a lot that I can think of.
Okay.
That's quite crazy. And then you have a Starbucks, then you have a Kermit.
Wow.
You have a
coffee bean girl.
Coffee. Not sure.
And the reason why the names are given, is it internally or is it just that marketplace?
It's the marketplace. It's a fan that actually give it to them.
I see.
Because of the color.
Understand.
Yeah, because of the colors.
Understand.
Wow.
Understand.
Yeah.
There's so many, right? See, that's my question, right? As a total noob. There's so many, like, let's say if I can only buy two, then how do I pick out?
Okay.
Let's say do they all match your description of sports,
stainless steels? Okay, so
generally,
so in Rolex itself, even sports we have segregated into like 3 tiers. So the tier 1 sports, the tier 2 sports, and the tier 3 sports. If your capability is not an issue, budget is not an issue, then go for tier 1. Tier 1, I'll always ask people to go for Daytona. So Daytona is a watch where I don't like it at first because Daytona does not have a date. So that time I was like, this is a perfect watch, but
no date.
No date. But when I get older, to me, maybe date is not important. So I find that maybe the dial itself is so clean without a date. Because if you need a date, you just need to cut a hole and put in a window date itself. It actually spoils the aesthetics of the whole dial.
I see.
Right. So if possible, then get a Daytona. Daytona is so much wanted is because it is known as the king of Rolex because it is being priced at the highest price.
I see.
Among all the models. And the second thing, it is the only chronograph, the watch in Rolex that comes with the chronograph functions.
I see.
Right. Yeah, so I'll always ask people, if possible, go for a Daytona. And the size of Daytona is not that big and chunky. 40. It's just 40. And then they are very slim lugs itself. The design of Daytona 10 years ago until now is almost the same. Right. And that is a reason why, because Daytona it sits very, very well on top of not only a guy's hand, but also a lady's wrist. So now you're attracting 2 sets of buyers.
Understand.
The ladies' buyers and the gentlemen's buyer. So the reason why the price is going up is because definitely the demand and supply, right?
Yeah.
So that the demand is higher because nowadays ladies like to wear bigger,
more masculine
type of watches.
Right.
Yeah, so Daytona is definitely the first one I'll suggest. Then follow maybe by Pepsi.
I see.
Yes.
Because the Pepsi also, I mean,
It can be a guy, it can be a girl watch because there's blue
Correct,
and there's
correct,
red
That's,
color.
that's interesting information. Huh?
Yeah.
So, but will you say that, right, like in general, still, I think most people say watch is a guy thing, right?
Yeah.
Most people say.
Yeah.
So, let's say if I'm picking a watch, let's say I don't have all these like unisexual
Yeah.
watches, right?
Yeah.
Should I opt for those that will look good on a guy more than a girl?
You are coming from a collector's perspective or
Or
you're coming
investors.
from an investor's perspective?
Investors.
Coming from an investor perspective, definitely, if you were to ask me, I will go for I will come from an angle where my buyer, I have a bigger market that
Buyer
can
base,
buy the watch that I'm going to sell in future. So yeah, so
Okay,
that
great.
answers
So
you.
that's great. So when you say that it's based on the market, how do you sense or gauge the market? Do you go on online forum and see what people are asking for, or like do you like talk to your friends and meet people and ask them? How do you get that gauge?
First of all, I think that because I'm in this line,
Yeah.
Actually, I started this as a hobby.
Yes,
to be
yes.
honest, it's not a business. So very, very automatically, when you love something, like for example, you love a car, you will start going to all the
Online
car forums to read about car first. So I started as a watch lover, as I mentioned to you. Then I went to all sorts of forums and I start reading it. And then I will start doing comparison of the prices of the watches. And then from there, slowly over the years, I get, I mean, it's like,
Accumulated knowledge
It's like
lah.
you all lah. I mean, you all have to read news
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day to get to know what is happening in that particular counter that you all have actually put in money. So it same goes to me. So I have to like, even though when we have free times, I will read a lot of watch related articles and also check the price of the watches itself.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's good, man.
It's like stocks already.
Yeah. You look at so one thing that, I'm not as an avid collector like Michael, but I like because the aesthetics is like, if you look at this is a 40, right?
40.
This 40. This is probably what size?
44,
44, right?
44, 45.
So
Yep.
can you see the difference in between a woman's
Yep.
wearing this and a guy wearing this, right? The size of the dial itself is already very
Yep.
different.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the things in your now 13 years collection that like unique things about Rolex? And then maybe later on we can go to some of the other brands.
Yeah.
I tell you, Rolex is something where their marketing and quality itself is really superb. Really superb. So as I mentioned to you, even though anybody at our age, the first watch that you talk to them, the brand come out itself, it will be a Rolex.
Same,
right?
Same.
Yeah, I mean that in Singapore or in Hong Kong, I think even you can see Rolex is really nothing to them. It's like everybody can own a Rolex,
yeah.
in Hong Kong and
Yeah.
in Singapore.
Yeah.
So this brand itself has a very special aura. So when you hold that watch on hand, when you look at the whole polishing, you look at the whole quality of the watch itself, you will love that watch. And who don't like an asset where you own it and the value itself can appreciate some more
That looks nice. Yeah.
and looks nice. So it has actually hit the jackpot of both criteria.
Understood.
Wow.
Understood.
You mentioned these two other countries. Do you interact with like do you buy and sell with people from other countries?
Yeah,
as well?
definitely.
So do you see a difference between Malaysians and non-Malaysians, like the market?
Okay, to be honest, currency plays a very big role. For example, if I'm to tell you now, a Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711 is selling at about a price of 800,000 in Malaysia. So a lot of you might fall off the chair. It's like 800,000. Are you nuts? I
buy
might as
a
well
house.
use get a condo or whatever. Why should I put on a
watch?
A watch, right? But the Nautilus 5711 2 years ago was only about 300 over thousand. So if you were to put into a watch versus a property, 2 years time you get a return of close to about 500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that you might also heard that I've also invested quite a bit in property previously.
Yeah.
Property is something where I find it is very asset heavy, whereas watches are very asset light. So for example, today when both of you call me and say, MJ said, hey Mike, can you bring some watches or not? I was like, okay, why not just bring some? But if you say, hey Mike, today can you bring some of your properties and show me?
I know you have to bring me to.
Yeah, I have to bring you to go and see a property. So it's not asset light.
yeah.
So whereas for watches itself, is when I travel anywhere. Let's say today, if I were to travel to Hong Kong, and let's say if I lost my wallet, if I were to cash out, I can easily cash out using my watch. I just go into any of the watch shop and then sell my watch itself.
Yeah.
But you know that this is so-called the transfer ownership itself is easy for watches compared to, I think, John, have you tried to sell a property before?
Oh, yeah.
From
many
selling
times,
to getting the money into your bank account, easily 6 months.
That's lucky if you're
That's lucky if you
Yeah.
can sell like that and the process being done within 6 months.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've moved from quite asset heavy to asset light, and then for property wise, I've kept some. Again, there are people who always tell me that, hey, Mike, property you can use leverage. Yes, you are right.
Yeah.
Watches you can't use leverage because
Really? Okay.
you can't put 10%.
Actually, what's stopping the market? Why? I mean, is there what
the
is
bank
there?
or whatever.
Yeah, because if it is considered a good asset class, someone can collateralize it, and you know.
I think the most important thing is maybe people are worried that maybe you pay a 10% to get a Rolex, and then the next day you fly out of Malaysia, and because because it's very easy to mobilize, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why I like this asset class is because, as I mentioned to you just now, first of all, liquidity itself is very easy. So there are a lot of investment asset class in the market where I can only see paper money or virtual money, which I'm not too interested in paper money. So watches itself can actually very easy to liquidate. I can easily see cash. Second thing is I can easily like transfer ownership. Like if, for example, John like this watch, if both of us agree on a certain price, he transfer me money, he get the watch.
Yeah.
It's very easy. Third is mobilization. So I mean that now the world is getting smaller. I mean, to be honest, when everybody can start flying, the price of the watches will go up even more. Because now we are only talking about Malaysians buying watches in Malaysia.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Chinese coming into Malaysia to buy watches.
Oh, that would be crazy.
That would be crazy. So for today, one day, let's say MJ, you want to migrate to, let's say, UK. For you to transfer 3 million out from your bank account to your UK account, it might be tough. But for you to bring a 3 million watch out from Malaysia to UK, it's
just wear and then just
wear. So that's the reason why I love this asset class itself, because it's all these criteria.
Very flexible, yeah.
Very, very flexible. Yes.
Okay, so we talked a lot about Rolex today. How about some of the other brands that you have? So maybe we start with Patek Philippe.
Yeah. Patek Philippe, they are one class above so-called Rolex. I think everyone heard about the tagline of Patek Philippe before that. You never actually owned a Patek Philippe.
Yeah.
You are merely looking after it for your next generation. So it's really suggesting you that this product itself can actually, this watch itself can actually last from generations to generations.
Yeah, man.
And you wanted to pass something which is meaningful and valuable to your next generation. And Patek Philippe meets all the criteria. So the tagline itself is the one that actually draw me into the brand and actually not the aesthetic itself yet. So this is how powerful a tagline can be.
Yep.
To draw me there, and then only I dive deep and look at the models that Patek Philippe has, and then also the history behind, and also the technology behind how Patek Philippe actually do watches. Yeah.
But I mean, apart from the tagline, why does Patek Philippe think that what they have will be something that people will want to pass down to their children? Or that? What is it? Is it the design? Is it...
Okay, when you look at Patek Philippe, right? So the success of Patek Philippe and AP and also VCs, it will not be as so successful. It's not only because of the brand, it's the designer behind called Gerard Genda. So this is a must. This is the god of watch design in the whole watch industry. Everybody talk about this guy is like, he is really the god level, right? So he has actually designed the Nautilus, he has actually designed the Royal Oak, and then he has actually designed the VCs overseas, right? So they have actually designed quite a lot of very famous so-called models in the market, and those are the models that until today, when you wear on your hand, it still looks very modern. And imagine those design was like 50, 60 years or more than that.
Timeless.
It's very, very timeless. And then the quality built, I didn't bring a Nautilus so-called solid gold versus a Rolex solid gold. Please come to my shop one day. And when you put two watches on hand, you will also know, even both are solid gold, which one is heavier and which one is lighter itself, and the polishing skill and the engine itself, the mechanical movement itself, when you put under a microscope, you will know that how good is a Patek Philippe.
I see.
It's even more refined, so much more refined.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but then I do know Patek Philippe is a lot more expensive, right?
A lot
so
more.
to start is
Yeah, go with Rolex first.
So let me ask you in terms of market size, right? Am I fair to say that Rolex is a lot bigger than Patek?
Definitely a lot more bigger.
How much bigger roughly?
Mass affluent
It's like close to about 25 to 26%.
of the world.
It's the whole
Right.
watch
And
market.
Patek is 1%?
No, maybe Patek I've forgotten, but Rolex is definitely
Right,
way
right.
much more. They are the number one for so many years already. Never drop and keep on going up.
Understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
Keep
would
on
be
going
the
up.
most expensive watch for a Patek actually?
So when you go on Google, right, the most expensive watch in the whole world, you might look at it expensive is because they have actually factored in the jewels being put in the watch or on the watches itself. So it cannot actually reflect that, this is the most expensive
Correct.
watch because blah, 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 blah. Because they have actually factored in
The
the
jewels.
Take out the jewels.
Yeah, take out the jewels, right? So in the auction period, the most expensive wristwatch that until today is actually a Rolex Paul Newman Daytona. So it is the most expensive. And then I think it has been auctioned at a crazy, really, really crazy price. When you're talking about Patek Philippe, you look at the Grandmaster Chim itself is also very, very expensive. But I think the one that really stands out in the market is the Paul Newman.
Right.
Paul Newman
Daytona.
Daytona he wore.
Yeah.
The one that he wore,
The
right?
one that, yes, correct.
Yeah.
So among the Patek Philippe's, are they all a surefire make money? Or there's still
Same. It's like Rolex. You need to know also what are the models that you should go. Yeah, it's not all the models. It's not all watches that carries the name Patek Philippe who makes you money. No. Yes,
So
correct.
would you say the criteria are also the same when you compare with Rolex, or are they a bit different?
A slightly bit different because the people that can afford not so-called Patek Philippe
Yes,
that can
correct.
afford
Different level, yeah.
different materials. So Patek Philippe, their stainless steel, yes, is definitely the famous one.
Yes.
The models like the Nautilus and also the Aquanauts are the famous one. But for Patek Philippe, their rose gold is also a very famous piece where the value itself holds very, very nice because the polishing itself and people that can afford to get the Patek Philippe and the rose gold are a lot more than.
Understand.
Yeah.
Right.
So for Patek Philippe, I can say that aim on the stainless steels and also the rose golds.
Understand.
Yeah, correct.
So do the names like you said Nautilus and Aquanauts. So Rolex, they have your Daytonas and your Pepsis. Will you say this is the equivalent? Like if
Something,
you,
yes,
If you
yes.
have a lot of money, this is what you start with.
Correct.
Okay.
Does the complication of any of these watches matter in terms of the pricing?
That's why you'll be surprised.
Yeah.
So for Patek Philippe, I think recently you know that they have actually launched a Tiffany limited edition to 170 pieces in the world. Do you know that?
Yeah, I heard. I read it. I read
It has
it.
been sold at $6.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's only limited to 170 pieces. It has no additional function than just a date. And they can actually fetch this type of price.
So it's the marketing, the branding, the story behind.
So the price 6.5 million is actually auction price. It is not the retail price.
I see.
So the retail price is only $50,000, but the price transacted in the market in the auction is 6.5 million, including the buyer's premium. So you expect the money, the actual transacted amount of money in the market will be like 25% lesser than the so-called charity auction price. Because auction usually will have a so-called a premium of about 20-25%. So the market rate is actually transacted at 20-25% lesser than the 6.5 million.
Understand.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
insane.
Wow.
Yeah, because I always wanted to.
So surprise, right? Just a date itself can sell this sort of price.
Yeah.
And if you compare to some of the watches, they even throw you a tourbillon. Like some of the China brand, they throw you
a tourbillon. Yeah.
It's less than that a
Correct.
lot.
Yeah.
So complication doesn't mean
because I'm attracted to the watches because of the complications.
same like me. You may have told you my first watch chronograph complicated
Looks
because
cool.
Yes.
looks cool and looks sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know whether it's still true, Mike. Henry Gray super complication. It's still the most expensive pocket watch in the world, right? At the moment.
Pocket watch nowadays, I can't say. I remember Patek Philippe also has a very expensive pocket watch.
Yeah.
But pocket watch, I don't really keep track. Is because the chances of me wearing a pocket watch nowadays is very, very low. But to be honest, when you look at the handcrafted, the way how they build a pocket watch, wow, that is the artwork of the whole century inside a watch.
Yeah, the Henry Gray one is the Patek one. It's
Patek.
Patek Philippe's the Henry Gray super complication.
Yeah, so I don't know whether that is the most
expensive
because they have come up with
so many.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about the next one, Richard Mille?
Richard Mille, I cannot say it's the next. I think a lot of people will kill me. So, in a lot of people's mind, Richard Mille is the number one. Patek Philippe is not number one. But in terms of watch investment, as you mentioned, that you both of you taught people about investments, right? So investments is always about money.
Yeah.
It's always about return.
Yeah.
It's always about dividends. It's always about liquidities, right? So same the whole formula actually same you can apply to watches.
Okay.
So Richard Mille, I can safely say that if you wanted to sell a Rolex and a Patek Philippe, almost in any first and second tier city in the whole world, you will be able to cash out. But for Richard Mille, it might not be the case where everywhere you go in, you can actually cash out.
Is it because of the history also? Because Richard Mille is
it's
shorter,
very
right?
short, very short
It's
history.
I think less than 50 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. I think maybe less than 20 years.
Wow, okay.
Very, very short, very, very young brand.
Yeah.
So for this watch itself, actually, if you look at it, the prices itself tends to swing a bit because maybe the buyers that they attracted are, some names that people might not want to associate themselves as, like the politicians, the businessmen, those fast money come business kind of things. Yeah. So Richard Mille, yes, it is a very expensive watch. It's a very sought after watch. But I'm not too sure. I mean, that maybe some of the second tier city that you are traveling to in future, you might not be able to cash it out.
I see.
Correct.
Because Rolex is a synonymous name already.
It's like it's like an international currency already. I mean, even
that's good.
even though you can't sell it into a watch shop, you can go to any other pawn shop. You can also get cash. You can only you go to a pawn shop and say that, hey, I want to sell my Richard Mille.
Yeah.
The uncle might not know what is a Richard Mille, or he might not have the experience.
But he see Rolex.
Not Rolex,
Rolex.
They will take. Yeah.
So what's the fourth one already? I can't remember. Was it?
It's Richard
VACHERON.
Mille, Patek Philippe,
Audemars.
AP, and Rolex.
AP, Audemars Piguet.
Okay, so what's special about Audemars? Sorry.
Okay, to be honest, that is a very masculine watch, the design itself. I love the watch. If you look at the watch, the the Royal Oak, the series, and the Royal Oak Offshore, which is the more sporty and bulky series, when you wear on hand, you feel like, wow, your manly part of it kicks in. It's like, wow, you feel good because it's very masculine, the design itself and the weight itself. But for this type of watch, to pick and buy, you even have to be a bit more careful because even the same, to be safe, yes, the models itself actually will already give you a quite good return. But there are some models with different sizes. So for example, I'm giving you an example. Like for example, a Rolex Daytona, from those days until now, is forever 40mm.
I see.
So for so-called Submariner, it's only until year 2020 they have upgraded to 41mm.
Slightly so small only.
But 1mm in watch industry is a big thing.
Wow.
1mm to our life is like, with and without the 1mm, I can't see anything. But to watch industry overall, the 1mm actually affects quite a lot.
I see.
So for coming back for AP itself, yes, they have been changing for sizes from 37, 39, 40, 41 jumbo. Some of them 39 is also called jumbo, then got jumbo ultra thin. So you have to. It is not as straightforward as a Rolex or as a Patek Philippe. You need to do a bit more study. And then also the dial itself, the color itself has actually make a lot of difference on the pricing itself. So AP, you need to do a little bit more homework.
Wow.
The Royal Oak Offshore, you even have quite a lot. You have the normal no nicknames one. You have the nicknames one with like Shaquille O'Neal. You have the Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have all the So you need to do a little bit more study. But if definitely you love that brand, you are willing to do that type of study.
I see.
Yeah, correct.
I see. So last one probably VACHERON.
VACHERON was doing very well in China. It is always a so-called underdog to me. I've touched and I've seen VACHERON, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, as I mentioned, the PP, the AP, and also the VC, right? PP is a very gentleman watch.
Understand.
And to be honest, when somebody walk into our so-called gallery, we roughly can gauge what type of watches he's looking at. So PP it's really like attract those people who are businessmen, or because the design itself is not loud, it is very proper, but people knows that you are very powerful. Right? For AP itself is masculine, and when you wear it, you know that maybe this guy is a bit more modern, or maybe he wants a bit more bling compared to the PP. Then for VC itself, it is it is a brand where when people knows, people will appreciate, and people knows that you are not the mainstream type of people.
Understand.
So people who bought that are like people who like they don't want to be recognized as a mainstream person, yet the watch itself carries a lot of legacy, a lot of history, and is expensive.
Understand.
And the build itself, the design itself is very, very nice. And looking at VACHERON, the design, if you like a bit of like extraordinary, a bit more rugged, I can use the word rugged, it is not the conventional design of AP and PP.
Understand.
Yeah, correct.
So maybe
it has more edges.
So between both of us, what watch would be suitable if let's just say money was no issue? For MJ, what would be a watch for him and what would be a watch for me?
No budget.
No budget. I think John is easily a Rolex guy.
Okay.
Easily. maybe for MJ, I think maybe PP. I don't think you are the type that is loud at all. You are a bit loud, but not too loud. So, but both of you, look, we're talking about value investing. I can't be telling you a brand that you make loss, make money. Right? I must say something that definitely, because if I tell you this watch you buy already, you're going to lose 50% after 3 years. You tell me, Mike, forget about this brand. I'm not interested at all. Yeah.
Great. I noticed that a lot of these, obviously these very expensive brands, the Holy Trinity, is always either European brand, meaning
Switzerland brand.
Yeah, it's a Swiss brand. Maybe we want to pivot somewhat into the more eastern side of things.
Okay, so when we're talking about like the European side, it's not only Switzerland. Actually, Germany, they come up with very good brands like Lange Sonne.
Lange Sonne, yes.
Have a very huge showroom in KLCC itself, and then they have like Glashütte, original, and then they have Nomos and the rest. But Nomos is not at the very high end. Lange itself is very, very nice. Have a chance walk into KLCC, hold some German watch on your hand.
Wow.
The feeling of a German watch is very, very different. It's like you relate yourself to a car and a watch kind of feeling. It's very industrial feeling. It's
not so much art, more precision, more that one.
Exactly. It's very industrial but yet it's industrial until very nice. So the Lange itself, people are actually saying that the Lange is the Germans' Patek Philippe, and it is really very nice. The movement, if you look at both movement itself, I'm sorry that maybe I think that the Germans movement attracts me a little bit more. It is so industrial, perfect until it is so nice to look at.
Understand.
You know the Germans, right? Everything to them is
precision.
Precision is it's precision itself. So I think that it's not only Swiss. I think that the German brands are pretty cool in the market. And then the other side is we are from the Eastern. Let's talk about some Eastern watches.
Yes.
I think that I mean in Eastern there are some watch brands that I always like. And if you know me, if you look at my Facebook, Watch Investment, the one with the red color logo.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I don't only talk about Swiss watches because I do not want to have that feeling that we are snobbish, we only look at expensive watches. So for every I think for every Asian like us, when we are young, all of us will have a Seiko or a Citizen or a Casio watch.
Either these
For
three.
sure. Either these three. If it's not a Casio, then a Citizen, then a Seiko, right?
Yeah.
These are the three that we
My
have.
first was the Casio, the digital one.
Yeah, mine was also the Casio digital. So those days, that type of watch is like 60 ringgit, and it was like, wow, it's so expensive already.
Correct.
So if you ask me, yes, that was. And then if you're talking about Eastern, yes, I think Japan is the only one country that can come up with watches that can go head on with the Swiss
or the Germans.
and the Germans. I mean that no other countries. I'm sorry. Maybe many years later China can, or maybe many years later some other countries can. But the one that currently can go head on is actually Seiko. It's only one Japanese brand, Seiko.
What makes them so? You know, I did have a few conversations with you and our other friend Benny about the reason why Seiko probably has, or the Japanese probably has, is probably from their samurai making. Maybe you can relate that story to us.
You see, I mean that when you talk about precision just now, you talk about the super countries in the whole world. I mean that those days Japan used to be the second largest economy in the whole world, right?
Correct.
And then you know that when it come to cars, the only cars that can fight the German cars and also the American cars is Japanese cars.
Correct.
Right? So they are already at that level many years ago. And that shows how serious that particular country, the people, what type of product and quality they want to build. I think until now, even our parents, you don't ask them about electronic products.
Yeah.
They'll tell you just go for Japanese brands.
Buy a national
car also Japanese brand.
Yeah.
Electronic products, Korean brands also don't want.
Yeah.
Must be a Japanese brand, right?
Correct.
Because they know that they are tends to be like very tahan lasa.
Yes.
Cheap to maintain,
Yeah.
cheap to change, right? So Japan's, they have actually, this is quite deep rooted in all of us as an Asian, right? So Seiko is something where actually this brand itself is trying very, very hard these few years to pull them out from the mindset of they are being cheap and mass. Because Seiko in majority of us when we are young is always cheap
The mass
and
market.
mass market.
Yeah.
Right? So in our mind nowadays, we always, until now, we will still think that Seiko itself will only cost you less than $1,000. It's $300-400, $500-600, right? But do you know that actually in Seiko itself, there are actually two more levels, which is one is called the Grand Seiko. Their current price, their dress watch can be easily like 20 grand. Their sports model can above like 30 grand, 40 grand, right? And then they even have a highest level, which is called the Credo. Credo can go
Credo, how do you spell it?
CREDOR. So
It's similar to the VC.
yeah, Credo is few hundred thousand. So but again, because all these are under like so-called Seiko, so I think that these few years they are doing quite well. They have actually separated themselves. Like for example, if you go to Mid Valley, they will have a Seiko boutique and a Grand Seiko boutique.
To
So they
differentiate
don't-
the brand.
Correct. They don't sell Grand Seiko in Seiko boutique anymore. So to differentiate it.
Wow.
So and then the experience that you're getting there is also very different. The discounts that you're getting there is also way lesser. And the most important part is you have to look at the quality, the design of the watch, especially the polishing. Oh, John, that's why when you mentioned about polishing, right? So if you ask me, there are a lot of nice watches out there, different type of brands. Why some give you a bit more bling feel? Why some of them give you a bit more like, wow, this is like a satin feel metal. It's like a satin feel stainless
Like
steel.
matte like that lah.
Matte, or you touch, it's like so smooth, like even you rub on your silk,
It won't scratch.
It won't scratch. So the polishing itself is very, very important. And why Grand Seiko can hold that tough title is because we call it a Zaratsu polishing on Grand Seiko.
Zaratsu,
Which is
okay.
the way how they polish a so-called Japanese samurai sword. So the same quality they apply on watches. So what you can do is actually you can see your own reflection on the casing.
Yeah, in the mirror. It's like mirror light.
The mirror light on the casing of the watch itself. You can see your own reflection. That is that good. And then if you zoom in, you have watched, if you look at a lot of Facebook now, last year or these few years, they actually shows that the polishing even on the needles, the hands itself,
Wow.
is even way better than other Swiss brand. So yes, Grand Seiko is really, really good, and they are really coming up. And but in terms of investment wise, maybe they still need time. but their price recently they have actually moved a lot. Yeah. So just to show
This is a king, right?
Yeah. So
This is a grand.
So if people in front of podcast you want to know a bit more on Seiko, this is a grand Seiko. Okay. This is actually a king Seiko. So these are the two brands that in those days, okay, in the under same so-called Seiko, Daini and Suwa, both of them are actually fighting to be the top brand under Seiko. So eventually Grand Seiko won, and then King Seiko didn't become the number one brand so-called under Seiko. But recently they have actually revived Grand Seiko, and then now Grand Seiko is also above 10,000 ringgit.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on the metal straps and leather straps? Does it matter as an investment?
Yes. So usually when I tell people that to go for a let's go back to the four so-called
the first
brands,
one.
the first four brands, right? Always get yourself a metal bracelet.
Stainless steel
Bracelet, or a full solid rose gold bracelet, or a titanium bracelet itself. Don't get a rubber or don't get a leather, because if you were to purchase a bracelet later, it will cost you a bomb. Yeah. So you can purchase a bracelet and you can easily change to a strap later, as and when you like.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
So why do you decide to go for the leather one then?
To be honest, if you are talking about Grand Seiko, I think Grand Seiko, the best comes with only the leather straps. I've always one complaint about Seiko watches is they have very nice dial, they have very nice movement, they have very nice hands. I think they still need to improve a bit on their, not a bit, a lot on their
strap,
bracelet, and also the clasps. Yeah, that is a part.
It's very light.
Yeah, you don't feel that it's solid and it's very refined.
Yeah, maybe.
Is
this a Seiko?
Yeah, this is a Seiko.
Okay, you feel this.
Also, there is a.
Okay, this is the dial is the same. No, this is too big.
You ask him, refer to this, then you know that the quality.
Same dial size.
Yeah.
Same dial size. You just the clasps and the bracelet. Right?
Bracelet is very different.
This one can kill people.
Is that solid? The other one is like very flimsy.
This is a Daytona, right?
Yeah, this is Daytona, correct.
Yeah.
So this is Seiko.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is when Mike was talking about referring to this bracelet, because the stainless steel is like very light. It's not like this solid kind of.
Again, in front of the podcast, I know that you all will be scolding me because I'm comparing a Seiko with a Daytona. No, that is not the intention.
Yeah,
that is for convenience sake.
Yeah, to
please, we are not comparing these two models. I tell you, all the watch collectors they are very small-hearted one. When you compare, when you compare the ROM, they will be like, you are comparing a Ganjil versus a Rolls Royce or Mercedes. This is for convenience sake.
I didn't know that the community very spicy.
Very spicy. This fella know what he's talking about. You're comparing a Seiko and a Daytona.
So so then, as an investor, right? Is it possible if you just, let's call it trade or invest Seikos, to actually do better than other brands, or like the other brands, like the four you mentioned, those are still the ones?
Those are still definitely the best. But Seiko is something nice where, as I mentioned to you just now, where you do not have enough capital
to start,
and you still want to join the watch community. You like to have this type of different collections. So one of the reasons why I have collected quite a lot of Seikos in my life, other than Rolex, is because Rolex, up to a certain stage where you collect them, actually most of the Rolex watches looks quite similar.
That's true.
You look at the Submariner and how it's because of different color.
Correct.
You look at the Pepsi and the Coke and the root beer and the Batman is also different color.
Yeah.
But the whole design is the same. But when you look at Seikos itself, you have varieties, crazy, right? So and Seikos has very spicy story as well, as I mentioned to you. So that's the reason why I bring some of the very funny watches here today. It's like, this is the Omega Speedmaster, so-called. You can read from the case back behind. This is flight qualified by NASA for all manned space mission, the first watch won on the moon. So this is so-called the Speedmaster, or so-called the professional moon watch, which also recently appeared in the movie Moonfall, right? So this is something where I think Omega and Rolex itself are pretty similar. So when you have a Daytona, and Omega will have a Speedmaster. When Rolex has a Submariner, then Omega will have a Seamaster. So they are very competitive. But the price itself the price of Rolex and the price of this is very huge. This is about 140, 150,000. This is about 20 plus 30,000 in the market itself. But when they first started, both of them are quite close, are quite near the price. But Rolex has went all the way.
So James Bond cannot save them. Cannot help them.
Don't say that. I'm still getting my James Bond tomorrow. I'm supposed to bring my James Bond watch today. I'm getting the James Bond, the Daniel Craig.
The Daniel Craig one.
The Daniel Craig one.
Even the name
Seamaster.
is like Daytona, which is racing, and then Speedmaster. Submariner is submarine, and Seamaster.
Yeah, correct. So arguably, come back to the eastern part of the world.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that this is the first watch worn to moon, claimed by Omega. Okay? But Seiko never claimed that this is the first watch that worn to the moon. This is called a Seiko Poke. If Seiko collectors will know this, the yellow color funny, the yellow color funny face. This is the Speedmaster, right? They never claimed that this is the first watch.
This is so Neil Armstrong actually wore this.
Actually, it's the Poke, the one of the astronaut. When the rocket landed, he walked out from the NASA spaceship itself. This is on his wrist.
I see.
Other than this,
but Seiko don't go and
never says that.
Why? Unless
I
you're a collector, then you know lah.
Yes, I think maybe to be honest, the way Asians
humble
we're always very humble. We're always, even the first chronograph watch. This was supposed to be named as the first chronograph automatic watch, and this is the first automatic chronograph watch that went to moon. But this is not the first automatic chronograph watch. The first automatic chronograph watch is actually by a consortium of Breitling, Tag Heuer, and another company I've forgotten. So three of them actually claim that they actually invented the first chronograph automatic, where like Seiko was out before like 6 months before they announced to the whole world. Yeah. So actually, Zenith should be the first chronograph, because actually, many when Daytona started, actually they uses a Zenith engine. So Zenith claims that they are 3 months earlier than the consortium who come up with a automatic chronograph. But Seiko, if you look at the production line, it shows that Seiko was actually 3 months ahead before Zenith, but they just don't announce to the whole world.
So then my question is, what do you? Because obviously, if you ask me in terms of engineering, mechanical, I won't put the Japanese below the German, right?
Nope.
If they want to do
They
it,
are-
I
they
mean,
can
look at
do
their
it.
cars, anything they want, anything Germans can do, Japanese can do, right?
Yep.
One is not better than the other.
Yep.
What do you think all these Asian companies, especially Seiko, because Seiko is the only one that
Correct.
the world cares about right now.
Yep.
What do you think they need to do to catch up?
I mean, if you see for watches itself, it's very funny. So when I come back to these two watches itself, the reason why, as I mentioned, I like both of them is they have a history. This one is the first Seiko watch that went to moon. This one is actually a Bruce Lee watch. Actually, Bruce Lee wore this watch. So you can actually go and Google both of them. One is Seiko Poke, Pogue. And the other one is you go and Google Bruce Lee, Seiko, then this watch will come out.
Yeah.
So in the watch industry, it doesn't mean that the more money you put into a brand, then the brand itself will go out very fast.
Understand.
That is not the way. It has to depend. It depends a lot of things on. First of all, if you are a brand without a legacy, it is very hard for you to come up. Okay. And then second thing, you must have enough of your fan base. Okay. And then you must make sure that you do things correctly along the way, that this is what the current trend, the current market, the current fan base who likes it. So give you a very, very funny example. So last year, I think nowadays, if you notice that many years ago, when we talk about Mercedes-Benz, right? You say that it's an uncle car. It's an
Correct.
APEC car. But nowadays, you will not say that anymore. It's a
Now they look quite slick, young,
sexy, young, right? And then those days, people also would think that Rolls Royce is a APEC car, it's an uncle car. But nowadays, you look at the Rolls Royce, they are more modern, they are younger. Because the buyer itself is getting younger.
Correct.
Same goes to Rolex. As I mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast, in our mind, a Rolex is always the China, the Hong Kong movie, the half gold, the APEC, the Datejust, right? But last year, Rolex did a very, very bold move where they introduced colorful dials on the oyster perpetual. So we call it the Power Ranger oyster perpetual because they got the Tiffany blue, they got the red, they got the orange red, they got the yellow, they got the green, they got the blue, they got the black. It's like the Power Rangers colors, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that time
pink only, that's it.
Pink also got, sorry.
Pink.
That's why we call it as a Power Range. So that time, I mean that we totally missed this whole range because to us it's like, dude, I won't even wear it on my wrist itself.
Yeah.
So which means that I really respect Rolex because they have done very, very good marketing research. So when the watch was launched, this watch don't even have a date. So it's like a very basic watch that tells you time. Don't have any white gold element. It's just pure stainless steel. And then the price of that watch right now is, the retail price is at 20,000. The Tiffany one is at about 140.
Tiffany blue lah.
Tiffany blue one is 140. The rest of the yellow, the orange red color, the green color is at 70 plus thousand.
Wow.
The retail price is 20 plus.
I really had to just Google Rolex Power Ranger to see how it looks like, man.
The color, I mean, look, they are very, very good. They know what to do. I mean, to be honest, maybe another brand try to pull this off, they might not be able to do it.
Because they're not Rolex.
They are not Rolex, yes. So Rolex, they know, they have been studying the trend of the buyers. Maybe they're getting younger. And then that is where they're really willing to do that. Yeah, you can show to him. It is. I'm not joking.
I don't know whether you can see.
You know what? But you know, a lot of people listening to this, this will be the most paused podcast. So every time Dato mentions one, pause. Google. Pause, Google.
Yeah. This one, you know what it reminds
but
me
I have
of?
to say that the Tiffany blue looks nice.
Yeah.
This one, what does it remind me of, Mike? It reminds me of G-Shock kind of culture. G-Shock.
So if you ask me, really, it's about the brand. Another brand who tried to pull this might not be able to pull through.
So what are the brands outside the four that you mentioned plus Seiko? Do you invest in, number one? And number two, what are some other brands that you look and you say quite interesting, I can consider?
Okay, there are quite a lot of people who ask me like if they cannot afford a Rolex, right? So what are the other brands that they can look at? So I've brought two brands, which is I personally I've told a lot of people to look at Omega. I always think that Omega is very undervalued. The legacy, the heritage, the quality of the watch itself is very, very good. It's extremely good. You watch, just how you hold this on hand.
I love the Speedmaster.
It is on par with Rolex, right?
Yes.
And the price is like a fraction of Rolex. So this is, by the way, this watch is, I bought and then somebody already bought from me. And the somebody who bought from me, you also know. Maybe next time he will wear to the podcast. Okay. So this is something really, really nice. And then this is, I can say that it's an underdog that if you all have some money, if you all want to invest,
it's about 20 plus right now.
20 plus, below 30. So just try and get one before the price actually shoot up.
Wow.
So to buy before.
No financial advice, guys.
No financial advice.
And so anyone who disagree, don't try to get too angry. Okay?
Yeah. So Omega is definitely one of the watch brand. Another one is actually a Tudor. Tudor is actually known as the little brother of Rolex. They're actually under the same branding of Rolex.
It looks like a Batman in a way.
Looks like a submariner.
Yes. Looks like a submariner. Yes.
Looks like a submariner.
Yeah.
Right. So these are the two brands that if you get a Seamaster, I think you can still get it like slightly below 20 or 20. But for Tudor, this one you can get it like 15 or 14. Yeah. So these are very good entry level watches for youngsters outside. If you want to start collecting these two watches, even though today you buy and you sell, I can say that you break even, or if you lose, you won't lose much at all.
Understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Understand. Yeah. So these are the two brands that I will recommend.
So what are brands that you have never bought before, but you think can
German brand, no?
any German brand?
I have never actually owned any German brands yet.
Glass shoot, right?
Glashütte,
Glashütte,
original.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, correct.
So I have to ask these two. I don't know why these two names just came out into my head. So I have to ask you these brands, right? That I think from outside, right? Because I don't use watches a lot. Tag Heuer
Yeah.
Tissot, is
and
it?
Tissot, yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Alright.
to ask these two because I see so much Tag Heuer is always, I don't know whether it's golfing and then F1.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
So I thought
You have to ask him about movement, but let him explain the
You
basics
see,
first.
Tag Heuer has done a extremely, very, very good marketing. Yeah. Marketing those days where, remember, they actually hire like Tiger Woods.
Yeah, exactly.
They actually hire people like what's the name already?
Jensen Button, I think. Jensen Button.
And also what's the actor's name already? That Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, yeah.
Then
that's right.
guys, at the time Brad Pitt was so famous in the market, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So they did very, very good branding itself. But I can tell you, you will not be able to catch up with Tag Heuer's models. The models has been like changing actually, I'm thinking of today to bring my Monaco. So Tag Heuer Monaco is the one that went head on with the Speedmaster and also the Daytona. And then the Tag Heuer Aqua Racer,
Aqua Racer,
which is the one that went head on with Submariner
the
and Seamaster.
Yeah.
You can know already, right?
Aqua Master.
Aqua Master, right?
Aqua Racer. you mean?
Aqua Racer. So if you ask me, these are Monaco, which is, if you ask me, the best looking so-called square shaped watch in the whole watch Swiss watch industry, I'll put definitely my chop on the Tag Heuer Monaco. It is a extremely handsome watch with a lot of character. Yeah, very, very nice. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So Tissot is
The fashion watch,
Tissot
right?
is a fashion watch. It has never been considered as a luxury watch. It is a Swiss watch, but it's never considered as a luxury watch yet. Yeah.
There's one more brand.
Well, you think about it, I do have one question, right? Because you mentioned it just now.
Yeah.
So that's why I say we will get questions on the
Come.
Square and circle.
Or even rectangular.
In terms of collection and investing, what's the difference?
So it depends very much on the brand. So there are certain brands that are famous for some certain shape. So when we talk about Richard Mille, so Richard Mille, they come up with the beer barrel shape. That is the signature shape of a Richard Mille. So when you want to buy Richard Mille, you buy that particular.
So beer
shape
barrel is
itself.
like two sides straight, then the other side is
Correct.
curved, right?
Correct.
Right.
So that one, so you buy that signature model of that particular brand. So for example, Cartier Santos, which is a square watch. A lot of people actually likes the design. I also like the design, but I like the Monaco more than the Santos.
This is a Monaco. This is more
this is
square.
very square.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
But you will see it's nice, but when you put on hand, it really is really, really nice. So to answer your questions, that majority of the people in the market will still prefer a round size, a circle size watch. But if you're talking about investing, just invest in that particular brand. What is the brand famous for? The shape, right? So that one is,
Right. Is there a size to avoid? Is there a certain size that you just don't...
This is a very good question. You're talking about shape or you're talking about size?
Size, dial size. I think he's referring to dial size.
No,
Shape.
shape.
And then maybe I can talk about size also.
Okay, correct. I think shape itself is it depends on which watch, as I mentioned, are famous for which shape. So if that watch itself is famous for that shape, then no problem, go ahead with it. But majority of people will still like round shape. Size is a very good question. So you do remember many years ago, there's this brand called Panerai where
Panerai,
everybody is like it's like 44 those days is the new 40. Everybody is going for big and bigger. So that time you will see like Panerai is at 44, their limited edition maybe can go up to like 46. And then
46 is big, man.
not big. I mean, if you look at like those limited edition for Royal Oak Offshore those days,
48
can go up to 48. Yeah.
That's the sauce, you put the sauce.
Yeah, because it's worn by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But you have to make sure that you have Arnold's wrist
the
to
size,
carry that watch, or you have the Shaquille O'Neal's wrist to
Otherwise
carry.
it looks too big.
It looks too big. So, but those days, many years ago, not to say too many years ago, maybe like less than 10 years ago,
Right.
people are chasing big size watches. But this 2-3 years, people has gone back to the normal size watches where now
41.
40, 41 is still the best. Dress watch maybe 40 or 38 is still very good looking.
Understand?
Wow.
Yeah, so now the trend has moved back to slightly a bit more smaller watch or so-called a normal size watch, not the gigantic or the Superman size watch anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just imagine you have a 48 dial and then you're wearing a tux, right? It's like
Yeah.
How to put in?
yeah, you can't even put it, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, would you say like some of the practical side of things, if it's so big, right, then you move your hand around,
Yeah,
pang.
pang. And then, to be honest, when thing is big, you don't feel that it's refined.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? But when things are small, everything is compact, you really have to put a bit more kung-fu into like refining the whole thing.
Understand.
Yes.
Understand.
Then you appreciate the whole thing more.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I remember the brand,
Yes,
and
what
then it's actually Longines.
It's not Longines. Longines.
Longines is a very good brand. Until now, I still think that it's a very good Swiss brand. The quality itself is also not too bad. The dial itself, everything itself is also really, really not too bad. But it has, to be honest, if you really like that watch, I kept some Longines because of the heritage.
I see.
But I personally think that the competition in the market is so strong where you want to like move out and move up. Longines has actually moved
Down
up,
or up.
moved up these few years.
I see.
But they used to be very up, then was down, and then these few years they were up again. Yeah. So the reason here that really moved quite down one is a brand start with
Oris.
So those
Yeah.
days that was like it's like wow, that was like
correct.
but these few years is like I think maybe Tissot's name was
No,
even,
Tissot, I think they spent a lot of marketing.
but the O has spent lesser marketing.
Yes,
effort.
exactly.
Yes.
Actually, I like the O's actually.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because
it's
you
actually
look
a
at
very
the design.
solid,
Yes.
super solid. But these few years, I don't know why they've been.
So
very
what
quiet.
do you like in your whole more than 10 years of experience? What do you think causes a brand to die? Like or not die lah? I mean they decline.
As we mentioned just now, the keyword for Patek Philippe and Rolex is timeless. So when you are in a time industry, you are in a watch industry, timeless design is very important.
This is a O.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah,
It looks
it looks
alright.
alright.
Yeah, it looks alright. Yeah.
So if you ask me, timeless design is very important. So like for example, why people love to buy Rolex, even the second-hand Rolex, is because even the old Rolex doesn't give you the feeling of an old Rolex. So look at my Pepsi, this is an old Pepsi, but it doesn't give you the feeling of this is an old Pepsi. And the old Pepsi is sometimes even more. But now it is not as expensive. It is not more expensive than the new one. There is a period of time when people is chasing for the vintage, where the old Pepsi is actually more expensive than the new Pepsi. So it's timeless. So if some of the brands in the market there, they keep on coming out with new models every year, they change the shape, they change the look, change until, so it's like they have lost some tracks lah. They have lost some tracks.
Okay. So my next question is before we go into watch investment is this. Your years of experience, right? What do you think are the top 3, top 5 mistakes if a newbie comes in, right?
Yeah.
Like, basically, if you can go back 13 years, tell Michael 13 years ago, hey, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. What are the things to avoid? What are the big mistakes?
Okay, there are mistakes that until now I'm still struggling myself. I mean, even though like even when you do stocks,
Oh,
Yeah,
100%,
for sure.
until now you are still like
For sure.
So I'm not a saint, so I still
absolutely.
do mistakes until now. 13 years ago, I can say that anybody who wants to start a watch investment, the biggest problem that they will face is they will love a certain watch even until you tell them that this is not for investing. They will still go ahead and buy.
Too
That-
emotionally attached.
Emotional attached. So that was me like 13 years ago. Like I think there are some stocks also when people tell you that this stocks cannot buy one, but emotionally you think that this is a stock that it will go 3x later, you will still go in, right? So that was like 13 years ago. There are some watches, the brands, the design I like so much. And that time I really don't have the so-called knowledge. But if now I have the knowledge, I think I will be better easily by 70%. I will still have that 30% mistake for sure. But I will still definitely be better by 70%.
So don't marry your watch, basically.
Don't marry your watch. It's like don't marry your stocks. Just don't marry your watch.
So what else? What else? Of course, the smaller other mistakes you would say.
Okay. Second thing is if you want to pay for expensive watch, please get it from a reputable
So
dealers.
This is a good question because like Rolex, you can't even get. You need to get from a reseller, correct?
Yeah.
Then what are the criteria of a reseller that you'll be looking at?
I think maybe let's share this a bit to the audience in the podcast.
Yeah.
You all might be very surprised that why you can't get a Rolex from the boutique. As I mentioned that the production is limited every year. They limit to about 1 million pieces a year, including of all sorts of models.
Yeah.
And then there are so many countries.
Correct.
So you divide that amount of pieces, divide by how many countries, and divide by how many models are. So Malaysia, if you're lucky, that model one you can get 10 is considered very lucky already, or 20. Because there are so many countries aiming for the same models, right? So you can't get it in the Rolex. The next nearest good source that you can get is to get it from a pre-owned or secondary or grey market shops. Like Watch Club is one of us, which we are based in Publica. So get from a reputable company is when you have any problem after you purchase, you will be able to fix it.
Understand.
So if sometimes some of my friends call me and says, hey, Dato, I found a watch which sold by this private collector. It is way cheaper. So I always tell the fella, there's a Chinese saying that if you can buy the cow already, don't save on the rope. You already can buy the cow. Why you want to save to get a cheap rope, right? Same thing. If you already have a budget of getting a 100,000 worth of Rolex, if that guy is selling you 10,000 cheaper, why you want to save the 10,000 cheaper? And it gives you a lot of nightmares when you buy and at night you cannot sleep. Looks like it's not 100% original, but the guy told me it's 100% original. Then you scared to send to verify, because after you send to verify, confirm it's not original, then you cannot find that person anymore. So if you really want to have a peace of mind and to buy a watch is a very enjoyable journey.
It should be.
You should be proud and enjoy it. Just buy from a reputable so-called shop. That is most important. Yeah.
What are the things to look for? Even besides a reputable shop, I think some watches they say come with the box, with the certificate.
It's called full set lah. Full set, which is the box and the cert and the watch itself. This is called the full set.
Okay.
So if you ask me, yes, in Malaysia, not only Malaysia, I mean that worldwide, full set actually fetch you more higher price.
Okay.
But not in Malaysia, the trend is people like full set more than just watch only. But if you have a really authentic 100% original so-called Rolex watch, there's no issue for you to sell at all. Because you can bring it back to Rolex, they can easily verify for you.
Because there's a serial number.
You can't run. But it's only you feel good because it's like you are buying a brand new watch but paying second hand because the box is there, the certificate is there, everything is there.
And now second hand market is actually more expensive than the original price because you can't get it.
You can't get the second hand back. Second hand price is more expensive than the original price. Crazy.
Fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So that's the perfect transition, right, to talk about watch investment, right? So because I know when at our previous company, right, you were always talking about watches and starting, and you started something, right?
Yeah.
Facebook group, right? Which people can search on. It's literally just called Watch Investment. It's a W with a red logo.
Correct. Over here, this one.
Yes, correct. So what do you like? What made the decision for you to start this, and what can people expect from watch investment?
I mean, at those days when we are colleagues in the S company, I think you know that some of the colleagues has been like fed up with me every day getting parcels in watches. It's literally like one day few times, or even the postman also.
I'm from JT Express, I feel.
Correct. So it's quite crazy. So actually I've told a lot of close friends of mine to start looking at watch as a possible investment asset back in 2016. So there are some of my friends who know me a bit. I've started like 13 years ago when I was like it was in 2009. I made a lot of mistakes, so I reconcile and I've done some of my watch portfolio swap also. So I've swapped some. I told you I have A to Z. Then I swapped some of the A to Z to only like Rolex and a few brands. Right. Then 2016 is where I am quite confident that I think watches itself actually can hold value and can grow in value. But I didn't expect the value grow
to be that crazy, right?
That crazy, especially last year to this year. Right? It is extremely crazy. And it was actually not only by myself, because when we're in investment bank, don't tell me my colleagues and my bosses are stupid that they will put money into something that the value will go down.
Yeah.
So I've actually monitor. So I've actually keep track of all my watches, the amount of money that the money that I purchased, and what is the market rate right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have my own very old school Excel spreadsheet to keep track all my watches.
Okay.
Right. So if you ask me, by 2016, I was pretty confident already. So I started to influence some of my friends. So those fellas that really bought in 2016, that's why you see I'll have a lot of free dinners and a lot of coffee sessions, because those made a lot of money. So it's only when I started watch investment in 2020 or 2019, I can't remember. But to make it like very official was only in 2020 during pandemic, where everybody was locked down at home. Then my favorite pastime hobby is watches. So that is where actually the person who actually encouraged me to do watch investment, take it seriously, is actually a few people. So one of them is Peter, as you know, Peter, ex so-called our colleague and also ex fund manager.
Yeah.
He also did his research and said, look, Dato, what are you waiting for? The numbers are there.
Yeah.
Then second thing, I mean that I'm not a truly English educated. So I also quite worried about the articles that I write on my Facebook might have some broken English. Then there's another lawyer who his name is called Derek, told me that, well, it's not about, when people read your article, it's not about your grammar, it's about the information that they want to receive and collect. So go ahead and do it. I mean, if you speak a Singlish, then it's a Singlish. If you speak a Manglish, then it's a Manglish lah.
Yeah.
So okay, then I have more confidence. Then Derek, I think Tammy and you from Singapore told me that, look, he says that this is something where he personally bought quite a lot of watches, and this is something where he thinks that, I think everybody in the market right now is saying that there is a huge correction coming.
Yes.
At that time, we're actually coming from an angle where what are the asset class in the market where can actually storm through the so-called recessions or so-called market corrections. And watch is something seriously turned out to be, yes, during pandemic, it has proven itself that the price actually never went down, but the other way it went up even more. Yeah. So I started 2020 more seriously and more actively. Yes.
So like because you say you are based in Publica, right?
Yeah.
So if someone walks into the office, what do they get? Do they get to talk to you on?
Usually most of the time I won't be in the shop. I'm still doing a lot of IPOs and M&As, right? So as I mentioned at the very beginning, this is a hobby term business, which I'm very happy that the turnout of this. And then if you want to see me, just drop me a message on my Facebook, or just if you have my handphone, just give me a text. Then I'll be more than happy to see you at Publica. Yeah, but if I'm not there, you can just walk in. Where people there to serve you. You can touch and see any watches, even though at the end you don't buy. We are not that snobbish at all.
That's a good point, because a lot of these boutiques they go
very snobbish.
It's done on purpose, right?
Yes, done on purpose. There's tactics.
Wow.
There's a tactics. So we have actually tracked. We even have a program. We have actually tracked the watches that we have actually bought and then we sold, and then we have members who actually give us money to help them to buy and sell watches. The return is a minimum of 8%, with like last year was 14%.
Right. So speaking of that, like the expected returns, will you say somewhere 10-15%
over the long term? Over the longer term?
Yeah. 8 minimum, 8, 15. Yeah.
And these kind of like watches don't even go down in price. So it's basically like a ETF.
Okay, you see, I can share with a lot of people. This recently I gathered a bit more information. When you wanted why the price volatility is so much. Let's talk about Warren Buffett's company, the shares, right? Have you ever seen the shares of Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, come down?
Yes.
Not
Not a lot. Compared to other tech
compared to
stocks
others, it's
lah.
like
Yeah. Not that volatile lah.
right. The reason why there's a lot of stocks in the market is quite volatile is because people can afford to buy just only one share.
Right. Okay, understand.
So when it is too publicly easily to access, when the person who bought very little shares and when they are in need of shares, what they will do?
They'll
Sell
sell.
the shares.
Yeah.
Or if they heard some bad news, they'll just sell the shares. Right?
Yes.
So for a person to buy a Patek Philippe at an entry level of 800,000 ringgit, you cannot buy a fraction of Patek Philippe at 8 ringgit
Yeah.
or 80 ringgit. So you want to sell is 800 ringgit,
Correct.
800,000, right? But
Correct.
so they actually give a stability to watches, and watches now has become like a international currency already.
Yeah, I love that analogy actually.
Yeah. So if you ask me now, I've asked my friend now that, hey, look, if you are in trouble, what will you sell your watch or not? I said, Tylo, the watch can't even save me. I will sell other thing more to keep me afloat. This is like the last that I will sell. Because those fellas that can buy 800,000 Patek from you, maybe his net worth is easily at 30 million.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Just probably a technical one, and then I don't know whether we should end it. Now, I know a lot of people like fashion watches because of aesthetics, but they keep on saying, "Oh, it's an ETA movement whatever." So, is there still a place for generic or what we call third party movements for watches?
Okay, I can show you. This is like a very famous so-called micro brand from Singapore.
Okay.
It's called VACHERON. Very, very nice. It's fully made of a titanium grade 2 watch, which is the same so-called material that is used on the Omega James Bond watch. Okay. This is like, it's using an ETA movement. For watch collectors, my answer is yes.
Yes.
Why not? But this not for watch investment.
I see.
So look at those brands that I mentioned to you just now. They are like in the watch industry for easily more than 100 years, and all their movements are in-house. So if you are going with ETA and just banging on the watch casing itself to be a collectible piece, it's pretty tough lah.
Understand?
Yeah, there is a possibility. I don't know when, but I think that it's pretty tough.
Yeah, because that's the reason why you were asking all these fashion watches and all. A lot of them are actually not in-house movements.
Yeah, not in-house movement. They're ETAs.
The ETA movement, which means that they got it from a third party and then they bundle it together, package it, and market it.
They don't build it from scratch. Right?
Yeah,
and that is the reason why I always tell people go and buy a Seiko, because the engine itself is 100% homemade.
Yeah.
It's in-house.
Yeah.
Every Seiko watch, the engine itself is in-house made.
Beautiful, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, man. I've learned so much. The only thing is that I've not known enough so that I can ask more questions. That's my only problem.
I'm always more than happy if next time you have
Go
more
to the
questions,
gallery. Go to the gallery.
Go to my gallery,
Yeah.
or if you all have more questions moving forward, then I'm more than happy to come back again. Not issues.
Yeah.
Time to start a YouTube channel.
No lah.
A lot more work. Too much work.
But yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Actually, sorry, before that, where can
People look for you.
where can people find you?
Okay.
And also, where exactly is the watch investment? You say it's
I think
Publica, but
just now you all asked me to shut my phone. So I think it's very simple. Just go to Facebook and type the word watch investment.
Right.
And then you see this red color logo. Just hit me on my messenger. I'll be replying you all. I mean, if you want to see me personally, then you can meet me at my watch gallery in Watch Club Gallery in Publica. We're open like every day from 11 to 7:30.
every day. Okay.
Except Tuesday.
Except Tuesday.
Tuesday we're
Thursday.
off. Yes, correct.
Okay. Perfect.
So this is the logo.
Perfect.
Can see
man.
me a lot. Yeah.
Looks like the Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman logo.
Wonder Woman logo, right?
Wonder Woman logo.
Right. This is one of my most enlightening podcasts, honestly. I learned so much that, wow.
Because he doesn't even wear a watch.
I don't
Watch,
wear-
yeah. No, I mean that to be honest, today I can say this is just like a tip of the iceberg.
Correct,
Of course,
correct,
of
Yeah,
correct.
but I mean,
Correct.
to be honest, I mean, if you want to talk about watches, I can like talk 3 days. Like
Yeah.
just now, the Seiko, I was like just on the surface.
Like
only.
next
We
time
go-
we will have a Seiko podcast. Just talk about Seiko.
You can
Yeah.
dissect the watch even better, dissect
yeah.
the watch, talk about the movements and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you all saw this video online. Maybe I can try and find later, but of this, the way they clean the watches, the tools they use, right?
Oh, yeah,
you never
yeah.
see before.
Yes,
They're like,
exactly.
And
exactly.
to be honest, I've tried to operate or to clean my watch. I tell you, my eyes got very painful after 30 minutes.
yeah, because they need the magnifying glass.
Not
to-
only that, the old school one is like
Yeah,
put it
the
here
put
and
here and that.
I tell you, so please love watchmakers, love the watch person who
Yeah.
charge you the money
You
of
know,
fixing
you're
your
right.
watch.
Yeah, yeah.
I tell you, you cannot
craftsmanship,
tahan with that 30 minutes.
Wow.
You trust me, your eyes will start like you will start crying It is that tough.
You know what? The video that I'm going to try to find later, the top comment of the video,
Yeah.
you know what I say?
Ah.
Whatever he's being paid,
Yeah.
he's not paid enough.
Correct. I'm not joking, everybody.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah.
the hand, the sturdy hand that you have, the power that you could
It's like
put
a
on your eye
surgeons, you
power.
know. It's like
Yes,
surgeons.
It's
Yeah.
very, very crazy.
Yeah, and the thing, wow, yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
lah.
it's
So
amazing. It's
yeah.
amazing. It's
So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Sure, no problem. Thank you very
right?
much.
Thank you,
know,
Dato.
Thanks.
Maybe a Seiko podcast next. Tech Choir. Every quarter we bring him on. Tech Choir,
No.
Seiko.
What we should do is we should post as a thumbnail the portfolio and then the how much
Yeah.
has gone up.
Yeah.
man.
Why not? Why not? I can
Yeah.
just let you all know which are the
Yeah.
models that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, guys, I know you definitely got a lot of information about watch. It's such a, I wouldn't say it's a hidden industry, but I would say it's a very quiet, like something not a lot of people know about.
Not nuanced enough that people know about.
Yeah, and I think
But I think
hopefully this
recently
podcast.
quite a lot. Like for example, Knight Frank, there has been they have been actually monitoring all these alternative investment for
Frank
the past
Knight, yeah,
Frank
Knight,
Knight.
Knight Frank.
Knight Frank.
Knight Frank.
It's not Frank.
For 20 years. And then recently
right.
Deloitte and also all these big audit consulting firms,
Yeah.
they are issuing out reports about watch investment and their returns already. So it has actually now, since last year and this year, it has actually went in a bit more mainstream. And to be honest, watches is something where you can hold as a physical asset.
Very tangible.
Very tangible. So there's nothing
Looks
that
nice, things like that. Yeah.
nothing that to afraid lah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
mean
sure.
that you can't carry a 1 kilo gold in front of your neck on the road. You get robbed or get chopped, but watch is always okay. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You heard that, man, guys. You don't need to be afraid. But
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to the next podcast, Dato. And for those listening, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know, you can listen to this on Spotify if you aren't already. And you got one more thing to say?
No, I was asking why not. I mean that if John and yourself, I mean there are some watches here. Which are the one that you like the most?
You're giving up for free, is it?
No, lah.
You know, I've not seen all, but I quite like the Seamaster. I would say.
Speed-
The Speedmaster.
Speedmaster, sorry. Yeah,
So
this is-
very timeless for my
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I don't mind to give out free watches. The next podcast, I can give out a Seiko to
one of the viewers.
one of the viewers.
Oh, man.
I've been always giving out watches to the webinars that I've.
So you know what we need to do? We need to play a game in the watch drive. We're going to say some keywords.
Yeah.
If people get it, then they get the watch.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah.
All right, guys. I guess that'll be it. See you in the next pod. Bye
All
bye.
right, cool.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.